Hey folks, Tim Muldoon back for day 10 of Ignatian Mindfulness, coming to you on a really pretty miserable day here in Boston. And it is day, I think, 4,727 of our lockdown during this pandemic, or at least it feels that way. So I want to address a theme that is fundamental in the Ignatian spiritual tradition that I hope may be helpful to you as well. It's certainly something that helps me. And it's the theme of freedom. And I want to come at it not from the usual way that we certainly as Americans come at it, which is by thinking about our political freedoms, the things that we're allowed to do or that we don't have to have any limits on because of maybe a king or somebody trying to tell us what to do. Very American way to look at it. But instead, I want to come at it from the more Ignatian angle, which is to say that our freedom ultimately is that which emerges and gets its wings when we are doing what we are created to do. So think of freedom, and this is going to feel a little bit maybe paradoxical because, again, so many of us are in situations that we did not choose, and that itself is difficult. Not many folks would, just decide that they want to not go to work and not do the things that they're accustomed to doing, not see the people that they love. So this feels like a very unfree situation, all right? But here's, I think, a way to think about this, that our freedom, again, is that which we exercise when we do what we are created to do. And I think that can certainly be the case even in these very unusual circumstances. So let me just use an example that I don't know if you've had this experience, but I know that I have had a couple of instances where I've been reached out to, or I've reached out to somebody that I haven't connected with in a long time. And in fact, just last night, I was seeing some friends that I don't think I've seen in maybe 10 years, but we connected virtually, and it was lovely. It was just delightful. And that wouldn't have happened had I had my own way. This, by the way, this theme is related to something I've talked about, or at least alluded to a couple of earlier instances. One being my little reflection on agere contra, the acting against our impulses. And I suggested, and I have mentioned a couple of times, that our desires are not always trustworthy. Well, why? Because very often they fix on the next bright, shiny thing that can occupy our attention. And we live in this very fragmented age when there are any number of ways that we can be distracted. So I invite you to consider your answer to this question. Have I been surprised at what I have enjoyed even under these very strange circumstances? Maybe it's something quiet. Maybe it's, doing a puzzle. Maybe it is, making dinner a little bit more carefully. Maybe it's reading something you wouldn't have otherwise picked up. Maybe it is reconnecting with loved ones that you haven't connected with. There are ways that we can discover freedom in these unexpected ways. Again, because our freedom is not ultimately about the exercise of our choice. And again, that seems entirely paradoxical to many people. But let me repeat it. Our freedom is not the same as limitless choice. Our freedom is our ability to act in the direction of what we have been created to do. And we may discover interesting new sides of our personality, interesting new ways that our character comes forth, even though we're doing things that we might not have chosen to do. So I would just simply suggest for this day of Ignatian mindfulness, lean into those experiences. It may be that you're slowing down. It may be that you're just simply observing who is around you, what is around you, and maybe the more quiet desires that have a little bit of a chance to emerge because they're not being submerged by the bright, shiny objects that we usually pay attention to. So again, mindfulness of those more quiet desires that help us to discover new dimensions of our freedom. So that's the thought for today. I'm Tim Muldoon. I will see you again next time.